What if I told you the most powerful financial institution in America isn't elected, isn't fully audited, and quietly pulled off a $10 trillion maneuver that changed your life without a single vote ever being cast? What if inflation wasn't just bad luck? What if the debt crisis wasn't inevitable? What if the system didn't break, but was designed to bend just enough until we begged for a rescue? Because hidden inside the official history books is a truth most people were never meant to see. Every financial crisis does introduce elite power. It concentrates it, and that so-called money printing you heard so much about. That wasn't stimulus, it wasn't relief. It was an asset transfer pipeline, siphoning wealth upward faster than any other mechanism in human history. Today we're going to rewind the clock 100 years, connect it directly to the present, and revealed the print trap cycle that turned dollars into debt into dependency, and the Federal Reserve into the quiet empire behind every single boom and every single bust. But before we dive deep, let's do a quick community check-in. Where are you watching from right now? Drop your country or your state in the comments below. I absolutely love seeing how global this truth-seeking community is becoming. And hey, if you're here for unfiltered economic reality, not the fairy tales they teach you in textbooks, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button right now. Because what comes next? History didn't just whisper it, it erased it. To truly understand today's $10 trillion print trap, we have to go all the way back to 1913, the birth of the Federal Reserve System. Now, the official story you'll hear is that the Fed was created to stabilize markets, but the reality, its very first major act was to consolidate control of money creation, taking it away from any democratic oversight, and placing it firmly in the hands of private banking power within just 20 years. What happened? Boom, a massive speculation frenzy, followed by the 1929 collapse. Does that sound familiar? Mass unemployment swept the nation. Banks were wiped out, except of course, for the biggest ones. Sound familiar? And then you had politicians blaming greed asterisk after asterisk. The fact, all while quietly letting the very same institutions rebuild themselves. Only this time, even bigger. Sound familiar? It's a pattern. Then came Bretton Woods in 1944. This is when the US dollar was crowned the world's reserve currency, built on a single powerful promise. Every dollar is backed by gold. But in 1971, that promise was broken. The gold window was slammed shut. Suddenly, money was untethered from anything real. Debt became the engine of the economy. Inflation became an unofficial policy, and the grand illusion began. Let's fast forward to 2008, the subprime mortgage collapse. That's the public story they gave us. But the real trigger was hidden in the shadows. It was shadow banking, complex derivatives, and liquidity pipelines that no voter ever approved or even knew existed. So, what happened next? The financial system broke, people lost their homes, their jobs, their futures, and the Fed rolled out its new magic trick, quantitative easing. It's a very polite phrase for a very simple process. Create money out of thin air, buy assets from the banks, inflate the markets, and shift the wealth. At first it was $700 billion. Then it became $1 trillion, then more and more and more. It's temporary, they said, but temporary soon became policy, and that policy became a dependency. Then 2020 hit, and they ran the exact same playbook all over again, only this time, on an unimaginable scale. When you count all the guarantees and all the backstops, we're talking about a $10 trillion operation. And let's be crystal clear, this was not money that went into your wallet. This was money pumped directly into the financial plumbing to keep the system afloat. It's the same cycle, over and over. Every crisis leads to more printing. More printing leads to more concentration of wealth, and that leads to less buying power for you, and more asset ownership for them. We aren't just watching a system evolve, we are watching a loop, a repeating pattern designed for a specific outcome. But here is the twist that nobody talks about. Key wasn't even the real trick. The real trick was creating what are known as liquidity traps. See, when the Fed injects trillions of dollars into financial markets and not into the hands of consumers, you do want to get consumer price inflation first. What you get is asset inflation. Stocks, real estate, fine art, everything the wealthy own skyrockets in value. The rich get to surf this financial tsunami, while everyone else is left treading water, just trying to stay afloat. Then, inevitably, that inflation finally spills over and hits you at the grocery store and the gas pump. And what do? They blame global shocks, supply chains, anything but the real cause. This is the trap, laid bare. Print money, which inflates assets for the few. This traps the public in a cycle of higher living costs. Then, when the system teeters again, the public demands bailouts, and the cycle repeats. And here's the buried moment, the smoking gun that sealed this whole deal. 2019. The repo marketer, critical but obscure corner of the financial system, snapped. This happened months before any headlines about a global crisis. The very same institutions that were saved in 2008 needed saving again. It was the same players, the same script. This leaves us with the only question that truly matters. When the next crisis hits, who gets to pull the emergency lever? Who gets first access to that life-saving liquidity? and who decides who gets rescued and who gets left behind. You won't believe the names on that list, and the receipts are wilder than you could ever imagine. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive. If this opened your eyes, please share this video with someone who needs to see it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss what's coming next. Stay curious and stay vigilant. Ever wonder why it feels like you're running on a hamster wheel, working harder but getting nowhere? You've been told a story of money printing, like it's some simple cartoon. But the reality is far more complex. A sophisticated system of what I call monetary engineering. It's designed to keep you running, while a select few get to ride the elevator. Let's pull back the curtain. The magic trick isn't just printing money. It's a combination of central bank liquidity, backstops, and the immense leverage of shadow banking. What you see, the visible banking system, is just the tip of the iceberg. The real power, the engine of this machine, operates below the waterline. We're talking about repos, derivatives, euro dollars, and off-balance sheet lending, a hidden world of financial instruments that dwarfs the economy you and I live in. Think of the financial world as a building with 2 floors. On the ground floor, there are regular people like us. We play by the rules. We save, we work, we invest what we can. If we make a bad bet and lose, well, tough luck. That's on us. But then there's the VIP floor. This is reserved for major institutions. On this floor, the rules are different. They have access to what seems like infinite credit. And when they lose, when their massive bets go sour, the house doesn't just let them fail. The central banking system steps in and prints more chips to keep them in the game. It's a casino where the high rollers can't lose, because the dealer is on their side. Let's look at some key shocks to the system, moments that reveal how this machine works. Between 2020 and 2021, the US money supply jumped by a staggering 40%. You might think, great, that money helped people, but did it? Roughly 80% of that stimulus didn't go to households like yours. It flooded into banks and inflated the value of asset stocks, real estate, things mostly owned by those already on the VIP floor. This wasn't a rescue for Main Street. It was a fire hose of cash for Wall Street. And the scale of this is almost impossible to comprehend. The derivatives market, that shadowy world of financial bets, is estimated to have a notional value of around $1 quadrillion. That's a 1 with 15 zeros. To put that in perspective, the entire world's GDP is around $100 trillion. This is a financial superstructure built on top of the real economy, a web of interconnected bets so vast that its collapse would be catastrophic, which is precisely why it gets bailed out. Look at the Federal Reserve's own balance sheet. In just 15 years, it exploded from around $870 billion to nearly $9 trillion. That's a 10-fold increase. They absorbed toxic assets and propped up the system. Now, compare that to your own situation. During that same period, median wages for the average worker went up only about 20 to 25%. Do you see the disconnect? Their wealth compounds exponentially, while your income grows linearly. You cannot outrun compounding dilution with linear wages. It's like trying to outrun a high-speed train on foot. You're losing purchasing power every single day, not because you're not working hard enough, but because the very value of the money you earn is being systematically eroded. This isn't a series of unfortunate accidents. It's a feedback loop. Every rescue concentrates more power and wealth in the hands of the few. Every bailout deepens the dependency of the system on central intervention. And here's the kicker. Each cycle requires an even bigger crisis to justify the next, even larger bailout. This isn't a system that's failing. It's a system that's succeeding at its hidden objective, to centralize control and transfer wealth upwards. It's a loop engineered for consolidation. So, what's the next stage in this grand design? It has a name: central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs, programmable money. It will be sold to you as a solution safer, more efficient, a way to deliver stimulus directly to you. It's the ultimate rescue plan, wrapped in the language of convenience and security. But what it truly represents is the potential for unprecedented control. Imagine a world where your money can be programmed. It could have an expiration date to force you to spend it. It could be restricted from being used to buy certain things the government disapproves of. It could be turned off with the flip of a switch. This isn't just about convenience, it's about permission. The rescue comes wrapped in restriction. When we look back, we can trace a century of financial accidents, crises, and panics. And strangely, they all seem to benefit the same small group of players. The Federal Reserve itself was born out of a crisis. The move off the gold standard, the response to the 2008 crash, the pandemic stimulus, each event consolidated power and created new mechanisms of control. This isn't chaos, it's a slow, methodical consolidation of power. The next crisis, when it comes, might not just be about bailing out banks. It will be about the very nature of our transactions. It will be about our permission to participate in the economy. Because when trust in the old system finally collapses, and it will control is what rushes in to fill the vacuum. It always has. The question is, will we see it coming this time? The game is rigged. But the first step to changing the rules is understanding how the game is played, or being led down a path. dressed in better suits and armed with fancier technology. But it's the same path of consolidation and control our grandparents walked. The question is, are we any wiser now? If you believe this conversation is important, share this video. Don't let your history, or your savings, be rewritten quietly behind closed doors. And drop a comment below. Do you think this cycle was deliberately engineered, or was it an inevitable outcome of our current system? And please, hit that subscribe button. Because in a world where the value of our money is constantly being debated, the value of knowledge is one thing they can't devalue. Thank you for watching.